This week, Sherman's finest moment. He began the war in the East. Commander in the field battle of First Bull Run. He moved westward and climbed the ranks with Grant, fighting at Shiloh and playing an instrumental role in the collapse of the Confederacy, winning the victory at Vicksburg, capturing Atlanta, and burning his way to the sea. But now it's time to return to the East and make the Carolinas howl. Starting with Johnston, and oh my, is he in a terrible position. He has two threats. Sherman's army has been the main opponent, but now General Schofield has beaten General Braxton Bragg in his position to assault Johnston's rear. Even worse, what happens if they join together? This isn't even a mention that he is outnumbered and outgunned. Internally, the issues multiply. His small force, consisting of multiple commands, is still incredibly complicated, with brigades masquerading as whole divisions. He has many accomplished officers under his command who have a history of infighting. He needs an opportunity to find a way to beat Sherman soon. He has one last chance. Tecumseh's force is over 60,000, an unprecedented number, and far too large to march as one. Therefore, he has divided his force into two wings, with Major General Oliver Otis Howard leading the right and Major General Henry Slocum leading the left. Slocum's force has outrun Howard's. If the rebels can destroy the left wing before the right wing can move to reinforce, they could really keep the Union from uniting. There are still issues. The Confederate Army of the South, the collection of Johnston's forces, has very little information about Sherman's force. This deception has kept the forces of Davis from presenting any opposition, and with cautious Johnston unwilling to start a battle blindly, the engagement is delayed for the cavalry of Lieutenant General Hampton to do reconnaissance. The 18th, the report. The two federal wings are over 12 miles apart. It's time to strike. When he is charged, the 19th, General Slocum, is marching down the Goldsboro Road. General Hoke's division, under command of General Bragg, moves quickly to break the forward federal force. Our men are in disbelief. This is the attack? Horse artillery and a cavalry skirmish line, and with the Nassau River on their backs? It's ridiculous. The Union moves to brush aside this rebel assault. General Carlin's division rushes forth, and it becomes clear the battle was started early, as the hidden rebel force meant to destroy and ambush any counterattack is still on its way. The Blue Division instead meets with an improvised ray defense, receiving cannon shells. When they arrive, it becomes clear that this isn't a skirmish line. Slocum's message to Sherman that there was nothing to fear was premature. Carlin is overrun, and the federal flank seems like it's about to collapse when General Morgan's division comes to save Sherman's skin. They threw up log breastworks and held the line under constant Confederate charges from the Army of Tennessee.
The look I could picture at our distance was truly beautiful, but it was a painful sight to see how close their battle flags were together, regiments being scarcely larger than companies, and a division not much larger than a regiment should be.
The call goes to Howard to reinforce Slocum, as men from the back of the marching column are ordered forward, and defensive position is taken. Union estimation has gone from one extreme to another. They aren't fighting against skirmishers, but 40,000 Confederates, which is twice their actual number. The early success of the secessionists exhausted the front line. General Hardee had to take over along with General Hill. The second phase begins with Morgan's command being assaulted from the rear, flank, and front. Only poor coordination between the Confederate commanders saves the division, as Union brigades arrive just in the nick of time. The fighting is brutal, bayonet to bayonet, as intense as those at Cold Harbor and Culp's Hill. From the screams of the dead and damned, the rallying cry is heard, and the position is held. The second phase ends with victory. The third phase of the battle begins with the rebel yell as General McClaw and his division attempt to overrun the 20th Corps. Even with the aid of Bates and Talbot for his exhausted men, he's beaten back 5 times. In the dark, the smoke blocks out the moonlight, and the fight can't continue. Liston pulls back to where he started, the day, readying himself for the coming onslaught. On the 20th, with Bentonville devolving into skirmishing, General George Stoneman began to move toward Sherman, hoping to reinforce Tecumseh with his 4,000 cavalry. On the actual battlefield, the rebel line becomes a defensive V, watching as Sherman's 60,000-man force becomes one. The two wings have united, and the last opportunity is lost. The 21st brings the battle. General Joseph A. Mower, an excellent commander, requests permission for reconnaissance. He assaults the rebels with 2 of his brigades, collapsing the enemy, advancing on the Mill Creek Bridge, which is about to cut off the rebel retreat. Sherman orders him to stop and dig in. Johnston takes his lifeline and begins his withdrawal, which Sherman, unaware of, doesn't stop. The Union suffered 1,527 losses to the rebels' 2,606. That is 10% of Johnston's force. The insurgents have suffered greater losses, but make no mistake, this is the end of the Army of the South. And Joe knows this.
I could do no more than annoy him. I respectfully suggest that it is no longer a question whether you leave present position. You have only to decide where to meet Sherman. I will be near him.
The first is to meet up with General Lee, combine their forces, and make a final stand. Or the end. He orders a stay on all executions for desertion. Enough blood has been spilled. And if Lee can't meet him, then he will have to surrender his command to Sherman. Bentonville is proving to be the end of rebel resistance in the Carolinas. There's only one thing left to do. The 23rd, two armies arrive at Goldsboro. General William Tecumseh Sherman's military division of the Mississippi unites with General Schofield's Department of North Carolina, bringing together 100,000 souls. With such a gigantic force, the main issue is supply lines. But once the rifles and rations are sorted, the army will advance into Virginia. Mobile, Alabama, General Canby begins his grand deception, landing on the west side despite the actual action being on the east. General James H. Wilson begins his raid in conjunction with Canby to further cut off Mobile and hopefully break Nathan Bedford's force one last time. President Davis has lost the Carolinas, leaving him alone in Virginia, and I do mean alone. Despite his wishes, the Confederate Congress adjourns. He writes to General Lee, his last defender.
All the recent indications are that the purpose of the enemy is to cut off all communication with Richmond.
Communication between Grant and Washington is under no such threat. In fact, it is shortened. On the 23rd, Lincoln and his family board a vessel and stream towards Grant's headquarters for a conference. They arrive on the 24th. With the commander-in-chief so close to the battle lines, one would hope no action would be planned. But by complete accident, General Lee is formulating an attack. General Sheridan is closing in and will be here at any time. The current situation is fatal. The Army of Northern Virginia needs a victory, breathing room, and battle. Fort Stedman, the earthwork anchoring the east, if captured, could threaten City Point, Grant's supply depot, headquarters, and where the president is. If. Off the coast of Spain, there isn't a battle. The CSS Stonewall is denied battle as two wooded federal vessels do not like their chances against the ironclad. Sickles time! You know, the importance of the Sickles segment was to have a continuous story of an exciting figure also serving as a comedic parody of people obsessing over generals. Now, did this work on a week-by-week segment? That's where the weekends come in. Bentonville has ended the Confederate control of the Carolinas, and that's not that big of a deal. I do not wish to diminish the skills of our soldiers, but no matter what happened on the battlefield, the Union would prosper. The question is only time. Victory doesn't decide the fate of this nation, but only how many men must fall. Hello, I'm Jonathan Teagan, the entire Civil War Week by Week team, and this is going to be a little bit longer of an outro than I usually do. The series is coming to an end soon. I'm actually keeping the exact last week close to my chest, but the title will let you know. I have been able to say hello and report to you about every single week, minus one when Gettysburg took a little bit longer. From 28 seconds to basically a feature-length film, I have had the absolute honor and privilege to be listened to. I know it's customary for YouTubers to at the end of the video thank everyone who has helped them get there, but I hope you can tell that I really am honored that you've watched. I really do hope to see you guys to the end. This has been a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Maybe once in, well, I might be the entire Civil War Week by Week team, but the amount you guys have helped me get through the series is more than I could convey. Thank you.